I believe, it doesn't matter how famous you are. I believe that you can't be the only hero in the game. So without my star, I won't be able to represent or present the thing in my head.
This is The Crackling. I'm Anthony Huckstep. At the heart of most food cultures is a sense of sharing, giving, and ensuring sustenance. To provide a communal feast, create connections, and a sense of safety and comfort too. For Terry Intarakhamhaeng, his journey from monk to one of South Australia's best chefs is all centred around community, giving, and sharing. Terry, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm good. You've become one of the best chefs in South Australia, but you've done so many extraordinary things. Were you always set to become a chef?
No, chef is kind of like in my blood because that's where my family-based business. So, but I have been trying to run away from this job for so many times in the past 20 years.
Well, take us back to your family and the influence. What was food like for you growing up?
Food is the main thing for the family to be united, to be able to sit around. It's a part of our culture. It's a family gathering business as a kind of morning, lunch, and dinner. So when you have chance to sit and joining the meal, you have chance to get to know each other, what they have been through during their day, or what's the plan, as a kind of keep each other in the loop.
Are there any sort of dishes or feasts that you can tell us about from when you were young? And who was the sort of inspiration and cook in the family?
My inspirations come from mom. Actually, I'll actually get into food by accident because I'm the youngest one in the family. I get forced to do things that no one else wants to do. It's quite different to other family where the oldest supposed to get forced to do, but in Thailand, I'll get forced to do what I don't want to do. So it started with the day that mom need to go to the market shopping every morning to get the best produce out of the farmer at the farmer market to bring home and cook for everyone for their lunchbox, for their breakfast, for their dinners. But the Thai people actually eat 3 meals with the same food quite easily. So therefore, mom just go to the big shopping in the morning about 4 o'clock and then just cook before the sunrise, and it will be ready for the rest of the day.
Are there any dishes or even any pork dishes that you remember from your youth that really stand out that you enjoyed quite a lot?
Yeah, I come from Northeast. Northeast is a bit more regional, it's more rural. So we often buy the whole pig or half of the pig. So and then we just cut it into portion, either smoke it, either keep it in the fridge, or preparing some way. We do all sort of things, but my most standing out of the pork dish is pork lard, which is a very fresh lemon, a very lemony. It's very strong flavor. It's very spicy, and we use every part of pig to cook that dish, including organs, intestine, skin, and meat. And also that's where all the famous lard. If you go to a Thai restaurant, you might remember chicken lard. That's the most common on the menu in most of the suburban Thai restaurant, or maybe even some of the Thai restaurant that try to do it right with the high quality produce. Is actually what the most simple would become the most complicated with that dish, because you have to get the flavor profile right, and also you have to get the texture right. So if you overcook intestine, if you overcook the organ, then it just becomes sloppy.
Larb in different iterations has appeared on Thai menus across the country, but tell us what it takes or how to make the pork larb from the region you're from.
Yeah, so the pork lard that made in my region is similar to the one that is made in Chiang Mai, where most of the people know what the pork lard look like. But the pork lard in my countryside or my regions, we slice and we mince the meat. We want it a little bit fatty, we want it a bit lean, mixed together to make it coarsely, and also make it a bit more juicy. So and also intestine and stuff, we just blanching it, slice it to the dice, to the size of the almost the same size as the size of the mint leaf. So after that we just mix it through, or we squeeze it out, which is what's the difference. We blanching it with lemon and also water and salt, and then we squeeze the liquid out from the meat and separate the liquid and the meat, and then we cook the liquid again and season the liquid before we put it back into the meat. And then after the meat cool down a little bit, we add the roasted rice powder, which is we have to use a sticky rice, tossing in the fry pan until it's turned golden brown, and then we crush it with mortar and pestle, and then we actually add back with some fresh chili flake, lemon juice or lime juice, whatever is available, fish sauce, and with the herb of the fresh mint, spring onion, shallots, and serving with fresh crunchy vegetable like snake bean, cucumber, or lettuce on the side.
You've done some extraordinarily different things in your career, from studying environmental sustainability to being a one-time monk, and also working with Australia's zoos as well. Take us through your career. It's been such an extraordinary journey. What sort of role did food play through those sort of vocations?
It's an interesting journey because I finished my first degree in Thailand as an environmental science, and there's no such a thing as an environmental sector in Thailand, because it's a very industrialized, it's developing countries, it's all about capitalism. To get a job as an environmentalist is just very rare. So my first job is a tour guide, as related as possible to environmental. You have to have a basic understanding of ecosystem. You have to have a basic understanding of how vegetation, how animals or biologists kind of say. So I'll become a tour guide, and then I will start to have a little bit of a picnic, a little bit of camping. So if you imagine that the way that how you go into the jungle for 6 or 7 hours, is one way that you can actually keep your food fresh. You just try to find the food along the way. So that's what's become when the vegetation growing, when the thing growing. So what edible and what not. That's how the broadcast of environmental impact for me in terms of being a environmentalist. But when you come to food, then you have to you learn the cycle of the food chain, and also the plant life. So you know what to be harvested and when to be harvested, and how long the plant needs to be regenerated, or when you can actually consume it again without actually giving too much impact to the plants or the cycle of the plants. That's a part of my environmental contribution as a part of what I study. So in terms of cooking, so we also working closely with the producer, such as Jason from Boston Bay. So he actually free range pork. He raised pork as long as the pig needs to be raised. So until it's the right time to sell the pig, because you don't want to sell undersized pig. You don't want to sell the old pig that's get tough and lose the quality of the meat. And that's kind of way. And also you have to be matched with the seasonal vegetation, seasonal vegetable, seasonal herb here in the market or the grower as well.
Tell us about your life as a monk and what you got out of that experience.
So my experience is very extraordinary because you change the life routine from being a fully human being, enjoy life, enjoy day, and also eat whatever you want as long as you got money to pay for. But when you are a monk, so a monk is believed to be self-sustained. You actually just eat enough to survive, not eat because you want to eat. And also, when you as a monk, you're not allowed to pick food. Every morning you will get up about 4 to get ready to go collecting food from the people who believe you are worthwhile for them to feed and keep you alive, because you are the holder of religious, which is you're supposed to learn, study, and it's like a pretty same thing, but in the way of you're not allowed to go to a restaurant, you're not allowed to eat anything after 12 o'clock. So, and the temple that I went when I was a monk, we're only allowed to eat once a day, and also we're not allowed to have separate food in separate plates. So whatever you got offer, so everything have to go into one bowl, and you have to eat it out from the same spoon. I know you're not to be fussy, you're not to be picky. So as long as the food keep you healthy, keep you alive, that's what the goal.
How did you end up in Australia and entering a world of chefing when all of your sort of background was veered in other directions?
It was when I was 21 or 22, I can't remember, back in the early 2000s, when I start to fulfill my dream, because I'm the big soccer fan, with the skill of the chefing and cooking. So I decided that I would like to go and explore Europe for a couple of years. So not a couple of years. I actually was supposed to go there for 12 months, but then I ended up staying for 2 years. Try to find a job as a cleaner, try to find a job as, labor or whatever I can get in London. So it's nothing that suitable. And also the communication is get a bit hard back then. And I find my way into the kitchen by accident. So because there is the sign in front of the restaurant in London, in Soho, that's looking for a kitchen hand. And then I just entered and going in. But then it turned out that I can cook better than the chef, and it's for somehow it's not like arrogant way, but because I have many more year experience than some of their chefs, because I've been cooking since I'm 14, because I get forced to do so in my family business. But other than that, that's a Thai restaurant way of life, because the best person you learn how to cook is your mom, not from cooking school. Cooking schools give you technique, but mom give you the heart of cooking, the passion and the care and the love. That's what is different.
Tell us about your early experiences in kitchens in South Australia and the stepping stones towards your own restaurant.
The first experience, I'm actually very fortunate, because when I first got to Australia and South Australia, I was here as a student, because I just tried to find my way back into other job again. And then at the beginning, I'm still doing part-time job at night while I'm studying during the day as a cook or as a kitchen hand. Try to take something that's not very high responsibility. So but then I got made redundant by the zoo at the time, because of the finance situation of the zoo back then. It just started to getting fragile, and I decided that's it for environment. I believe that I can share my knowledge, or I can contribute to an environment somewhere in the kitchen. So, and then I decided to start looking for a job as a full-time job. So, and at the time, I think looking for a job in the kitchen is not easy, but it's not hard back then. But I decided to apply with the kitchen of the Arana. Yeah, so because that when first Johnson Fellows left McGill Estate to open his own, and he opened 2 restaurants at the same time, and I was lucky enough to join that team of opening the Street 88 Hours and Orana under Johnson Villa, and that's where my influence of native ingredients come from.
That experience and that immersion into Australian native ingredients and your knowledge and love of Thai cuisine, what was it like introducing those ingredients into what you do?
Yeah, we have the similarity of the dry ground, low rainfall in northeastern Thailand as well. So finding native ingredient is incredible because in Thailand, it's not many people actually go to the market unless they live in a high sky tower. So if as a family you're more likely to go to your farm, to the community forest and look for, local herb, native herb, native vegetation, and because of the understanding of economy, that's the one thing, and also the understanding of the importance of the native ingredient with the quality that the native ingredient produce is important, and also it's a sustainable the way how it is. But once the native ingredient become overpopulated, overpopular in terms of like using and consuming in the restaurant and the market, is also is the way how to destroy the ecosystem. But as we can relate to a lot of vegetation extinct or the animals extinct from a ecosystem for overconsume. And sometimes I'll just think, if you know something, you can share, but also at the same time, you need to know how to look after it. So, like, foraging is also one of the most popular and one of the idea. We can actually harvest from the jungle, from the nature, but at the same time, your stomping ground is also can be, a problem. So, because you can stop things growing, but also there is the way you might have to learn how to not going back to the same spot all the time. We have to learn how to live with the system as well.
Tell us about Soi.38 and its creation. Were there challenges introducing the food influenced by your mum into South Australia?
It's incredibly difficult at the beginning. When I say difficult, we're talking about 8 years ago when I have decided to do this with my wife Daisy. So I work for other people for years and a bit, and I found the kitchen that I've been through is not the kitchen that I want to work, and also the way how we produce food in the kitchen, that's not the food I want to eat. It's difficult when you are working in your own cuisine that you love, but the result of the cuisine that you cook is not what you feeling like eating it. Do you know what I mean? So because I'm a bit fussy when it's come to the flavor of food as a Thai food, because I eat very strong, of sour, salty, and also spicy. It have to be very, very strong flavor. Therefore, a lot of northeastern or Isan, where I come from, the herb is very, very strong flavor. Some of the people don't like it because they smell unusual, and some of them smell bitter. But what we're looking for in some of the food is the bitter taste that end up with the sweet, at the end of your palate. So it's a combination of the flavor some in your mouth when you actually consume it. It's hard because when you introduce holy basil into the table, the smell is incredibly strong. But if you have been to Thailand, the first smell of the basil chicken, it will make you sneeze, it will make you cry, even on the roadside. If you have experience of Thailand, if you walk past, the street food. That will be some kind of your experience when they chuck the crushed garlic, blitzed chili into the wok before they add the meat in. That's the most incredible smell, but also it's the most painful part of the experience. However, say the people are kind of like, oh, this is smell very fishy in the restaurant. This is smell very a lot of food, very smoky. But also the first theme of my restaurant back in 8 years ago, we call it Soi.38. It's a longer word, but it's the name of the street plus the alleyway number. That's what the name of the restaurant. But that's very mouthful. It's a long name. And then we introduce all sorts of the exotic food that the people never seen before in Thai restaurant menu. So, and there's a lot of the pork dishes that are introduced into the menu with the thought of like, if you buy pork belly, we might buy it with bone. So then you got pork ribs, and then you're gonna cook pork rib in the different way that you can actually change the flavor or introduce a new flavor to the customer. So the first two dishes that I introduced back then is the crispy pork belly with the canal broccoli. So it's spicy, salty, a little bit of sweet, and you got a crunchy bit from the crackling skin. But the way I'll make it is different as well. So I don't roast it. I've deep fried it. So I dehydrate it as the local wisdom, like very rural. So in Thailand, when you make pork belly, like crispy pork belly, you soak the skin with vinegar and salt, poking it all over the skin, dry it with the sun, and then maybe after a day or two, then it's crisp because you dehydrated the pork, and then you put it in the deep fryer, and it stays strong even a day or two. So it's never actually disappoint if if you cook it that way. Then and for the pork rib, twice cooked pork ribs, braise it for 2-3 hours with lemongrass and kaffir lam, and then crunchy fry with the dust of the cornstarch, and then toss it over the spice with the wild ginger, peppercorn, kaffir lam, and a little bit of oyster sauce and chili. That's become my two strong signature dish when I first opened.
What's the evolution been like for you over the last 8 years? Do you feel like there's a better understanding of your cooking and the cuisine, and you can push the boundaries a bit more now?
Yeah, I'm so lucky. Lucky in the people trust and believe in me. So it's very challenging for the first 2 years. Like we don't know. We put all the money that we save into the business that we don't know is gonna last. And we have push as much as we can until it's have been recognized, it's have been noticed, and the people start talking over the city about, if you want to try something different, try something that's not on the menu elsewhere, Soi.38 will be the place. But also it's a long journey because you have to twist the ingredients, you have to source the ingredients, you have to do all sort of things to make sure it's balanced out. And also Thai food back in the day, is actually, Thai food back in the day is associated with cheap food, but the cost to produce a good Thai food is extremely high. So because of the ingredient that you have to choose, you have to source, it's not easy. So if you're talking about, pork lard to serve with the Vietnamese mint, pork lard to serve with, sawtooth coriander. Sawtooth coriander is extremely expensive, 4 leaves for $2. So, and one serve of pork lard, you will need 2 leaves to make it worthwhile flavor. So, and we have to make it right for the flavor because we serve the food that the people eat as much as we are eating it ourselves. So we introduced a new cost, a new price which is challenging because it will be the complaint of like, the portion is too small, the price is too expensive. So it's a long journey. At the same time, we have to train our staff. Even some of the staff never been to Thailand, we have to train them like they have been to Thailand. So the information inside out, the geography, the related of culture and the dish, the story behind the dish, we actually add it as a part of our story, which has become more recognized by a lot of people. They feel more appreciated to know where the food come from, what the food related, and also, what they're eating, what in their mouth, what they put in their body. So some people now start to think the life of the animal before become their food. They hope that the animal enjoy their life and it's not been tortured or not been suffered before we put on their plates.
Pork is such an important part of Thai cuisine, but there's 6 different regions and the food is so different across those regions. Your expertise is incredible across those 6 regions. Can you give us some examples of how different and versatile pork is within the different regions?
Yeah, pork is a funny one. So because of the funny produce, because they are more valuable than some of the people value them. So sometimes people think pork is cheap. Pork is not. Pork is dirty. In Thailand, that's because of they believe the religious basis depend. But if we split pork into region, so North and Northeast have consumed a lot of gut and also head. So we use we eat pig ears. So it sounds like we have a dog, but we eat pig ear. We make 5-spice pig ear salad. Pig head is extremely expensive in Thailand. Pig brain, that's the other thing that we steam it with the banana leaf wrap, basil, curry paste. It's beautiful. And in Chiang Mai in the northern Thailand, they cook pig brain with egg and also fermented pig skin. So they cook it together, wrapped in banana leaf. They're extremely aromatic and also tasty. And that's the specialty of the northern Thailand. So they are excellent. That's what the food that people in Thailand go to Chiang Mai for. And then Northeast is a lot more lard. We use every part of the animals. It doesn't matter how fatty it is. We mince them together by hand, and then we make a lard. The fat bit, we usually make a soup out of it. And also in the northeastern Thailand, we eat a lot more papaya salad, spicy papaya salad, and we use the skin, the rye, dehydrated, and then we make a crackling out of it, eat it with with papaya salad. That's what our specialty. Central Thailand is a bit more slow cook, a bit more sweet because it's Chinese influence. You in the market you will see more pork bellies, diced, braised in 5-spice with palm sugar and star anise, and I serve it with the pickled green mustard and also vinegar chili dressing. So that's what will be in the central. In the south, they would use a bit more like a Huck. So they debone it, they dice it with the skin on, and then you get the crunchy, the chewy, the texture. They stir fry it with the yellow curry paste. Extremely spicy. Use very little of sugar, and as well as a stir fry pork mince with the Crackling, which is a lemongrass based kaffir lamb. And it's very dry, nearly no liquid, but it's actually like they cook until all the liquid absorbed into the pork meat, and they serve it on the top of rice. That's incredible. That's how they do.
You mentioned Jason from Boston Bay with his pigs. How important are those relationships for you with the pig farmers?
Yeah, it's great. Like you pick we first become customer, buyer, and seller. But then after a year or two, because we support each other, so he support me when I run out, some difficult time, the payment and stuff. We support each other until we actually both, arrive on the safe side. So we become friends. Every now and then he drop by. If I want to go to Port Lincoln, that's where his farm is. He show me around. He finding other thing for me when need. Relationship is great and also is needed, because if you don't know about each other, you can't be honest to each other what you're selling, what you're buying. And also, Jason is a great man, because I can work with him with all sort of thing. Can I try this? Can I work? Can you cut the Huck like this? Can you get me also buco? Can you get me the head? Can you get me the skin? If I have the event, can you get me the whole pig? So we have a good, strong relationship, and we do event together. So every now and then, which make it very, very good relationship to have.
You've created this amazing restaurant in South Australia and become a real part of the fabric of the food scene there. What do you love about what you do?
What I love about what I do is a lot. I love the new creation. I love the smile on people's face. I love the compliment that my front of house receive when they serve the good food. I believe, it doesn't matter how famous you are. I believe that you can't be the only hero in the game. So without my staff, I won't be able to represent or present the thing in my head outright. So is everyone have their own contribution to my business, and that's what I love. But also, I'm a very hard man to work for, because I'm very, very particular. So there's a lot of my chefs as far as hard to make it right, but once they've done it right, it takes time, it needs time, and the ones that done it right, they quite enjoy working around it, because other than you try to gain what you want to gain, you try to keep the same people around for your consistency. Also, you want to share the successful of chef life. So there's a lot of people just do cooking because that's what they do. But if you don't have passion and you don't love what you do, it's far from success.
Well, that passion that you have is shown in the extraordinary contribution that you've made so far to the dining scene there in South Australia. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the Crackling today to hear just a bit of your story. Please keep in touch, Terry, and we'll catch up again soon.
Thank you very much, Huck.
This is The Crackling, a Deep in the Weeds production in partnership with PorkStar. I'm Anthony Huckstep. Stay tuned as we catch up with some of Australia's best chefs and pork producers to discover what makes Australian pork so special.